Hello and welcome to another history episode of Keep the Flame Alive, the podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. All year long, we are looking at the Cortina d'Ampezzo 1956 Winter Olympics as it is the 70th anniversary of those games. And this is the games that you all have chosen for us to look back on our history moments. I am your host, Jill Jarris, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Allison Brown. Allison, hello. Buongiorno. Come stai?
Buongiorno. I'm having so much fun getting these stories because you've been doing the research on them. So it's always new to me when you come up with stuff, and they have been wild.
They have been wild.
And having been to Cortina, it definitely adds something to it that, having seen a lot of the places and seen some of the old venues. So even if you saw it when you were watching the 2026 Olympics, this still gives you that same idea when we say, oh, it was at the stadium that was now the curling venue.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully, those of you who have been to Cortina and those of you who watched the games on TV will enjoy seeing hearing some of these stories that bring to light those old games. Because man, they were something. All of these old games, you're like, I bet if we looked at LA '84 today or Montreal 1976, we'd be like, what? How did that happen?
There's no discotheque, though, at Cortina.
No, but I bet there was clubbing somewhere.
I know.
Oh,
there's
let's
always a club for the ladies and the men to get dancing together.
So today we are going to talk ski jumping and Nordic combined, which were two of the smaller events at Cortina in 1956. They both used the famed ski jumping venue, the Trampolino Italia, or Italian ski jump. We saw this venue up close and personal.
We did. We drove by it on the bus.
Yes, and you can still go up and visit it. It's located in Zuul, which is about 3 kilometers south of Cortina, so it was a little bit too much of a hike for us to get to and still make the bus home. It still exists, but it's not good enough for international competition anymore. There's too much built up around it because now you need multiple hills. So this area had been used for ski jumping since 1923, but by the time the games were coming in 1956, it needed a full overhaul. So organizers built this Trampolino Italia for the Olympics, and as the official report states, quote, "And so like the Arabian phoenix, the final jump disappeared, to rise again more splendid under the sun of the Dolomites," end quote.
Oh, this final report is poetic.
So demolition and construction happened in 1955, and the new jump opened on December 8th, 1955. Reminder, the Olympics started on January 26th. So it was open for 1.5 months, which we know is not bad for the Italians.
That's a lifetime.
Right? So there is a lot of technical information in the official report about this hill, and I just don't understand all of the physics around it, which means ski jump hills get put on the list, and maybe we can talk to somebody to help us understand what's going on there. But according to the U.S. Olympic Book of 1956, this hill was a tough one to learn and was very different from hills in the United States. And it had 7 different possible starting points depending on the conditions. And then Nordic combined skiers had a shorter in-run than ski jumpers. So if you were starting at the lowest start point, you could get up to 23 meters a second by takeoff and expect to have a jump of about 60 meters. At the highest point, you could go 24 meters per second and jump 75 to 80 meters. The landing was designed to be a parabola. And this was also apparently a big deal. And I don't fully understand what's going on here, but the official report said a parabola slows the jumper down less than a straightforward arc. And there's something about the pressure on landing being the same, whether the jump is 30 meters or 72 meters. And that's pretty moderate pressure. So that's good. 72 meters was a critical point because after that, then your pressure increased very quickly. The takeoff area had a zinc casing with a wood grate over it that held the snow in place. Happily for the athletes, there was an elevator to the top, but you could also walk the 146 stairs if you wanted to.
Let's not do that.
No. But now we know our venue. Let's look at Nordic Combined. Nordic Combined had just one event, the men's individual. And I don't even know why I say the men's, because Nordic Combined never got women's in the Olympics at all, unless it comes back. But the event had undergone change at Oslo 1952 by putting the ski jump first. And then it would have more change at Cortina 1956 by changing the cross country skiing from an 18K to a 15K and having it as a separate event. And this marked the first time that the two events of Nordic Combined were its own thing, instead of either glomming onto ski jumping or glomming onto cross country.
That's right, because I remember when we were talking about Chamonix, they didn't know who was racing as part of
Yes.
Nordic Combined versus who was racing as part of cross country, so they couldn't figure out the medals at first.
Yes. It's pretty crazy. And now that it's got its own thing, that's the way the event would stay. Its own two sports run separately. And the 15K distance would also stay until 2010 when it got cut to an 10K. Also confusing was that the events worked on a points system, and competitors earned a point total for the jump and another point total for the cross country portion. And the person with the most combined points won. And that was very confusing because they also did not put the scale of how you earned points into the records. So I had no idea. And today's method is what they call the Gunderson method. I went down a massive rabbit hole on Gunderson and his method, but I couldn't figure out how difficult it was to win the community around doing his way, which was you do the ski jump first. The winner of the ski jump starts first in the cross country, and everybody's trailing them in terms of seconds that got translated from their jump scores. And the winner is the one who goes across the finish line first in the cross country ski. That makes a lot of sense. This is we get points and we add those points together and we get a winner from that.
So you really don't know who's won until everyone's completed the cross country.
Yeah, really. Nordic Combined has a reputation for being a sport that doesn't have a lot of regional representation, as we have heard this year from the International Olympic Committee. 32 countries participated at Cortina 1956, the whole games. Just 12 were in Nordic Combined. At the previous Olympics in Oslo, the first 8 places went to Norwegians or Finns.
Shocking.
Yes. But Cortina 1956 had the potential to make a difference in the sport. Several of the big names in the sport had retired from competition before these games, and we had the arrival of the Soviets. So we could have some new representation on that podium. The jumping portion was first up. This took place on Sunday, January 29th at 2:30 in the afternoon. Weather conditions were reported as unsettled, but the snow was compact and good. Temperatures ranged from minus 8.2 Celsius to minus 0.7 Celsius. So about 17 degrees Fahrenheit to almost 31 degrees Fahrenheit. One of the favorites from the last World Championships was Norway's Sven Stenersen. He had a horrible first jump of 65 meters that put him into 19th place.
Oh,
but he
no,
made up
Sven.
for it with his, second 2 jumps were 73 meters and 74 meters respectively, and the landings were solid.
Oh, good news for Sven.
Even with dropping his low score, which you could do with 3 jumps, he was in second place after the jumping portion. Sweden's Bengt Eriksson was in third place, and on top of the leaderboard, an unknown from the Soviet Union, Yuri Moshkin. Yuri had the longest jump of the competition at 79.5 meters, but he botched the landing with a fall. Still, his other 2 jumps were both over 75 meters with good landings, so he was in first at the end of the day. The only other competitors to have jumps in the range of Moshkin's were Poland's Aleksander Kowalski and Japan's Hiroshi Yoshizawa, who were tied for 5th.
Yeah, I was wondering if we are yet seeing the Japanese play a factor here. So it's nice to hear them because they still, in both ski jumping and Nordic combined, outside of the Nordic countries, Japan has always been one of the big players, and Poland for that matter, for ski jumping as well.
off the leaderboards are the Finns, who had done extremely well 4 years prior. They are now sitting in 8th, 17th, and 21st. The other Norwegians were in 10th, 15th, and 26th, which is pretty wild to think that which has got a stranglehold on this event, basically, that their skiers are so far down. And to put those rankings into perspective, American Marvin Crawford, and we all know America is a not a hotbed of Nordic combined
Mm.
competition. He was tied for 17th with Finnish athlete Paavo Korhonen. So this is not shaping up to be a Norwegian and Finnish sweep. But 2 days later, the competitors went to the start line for the cross country portion. According to the official report, it was an overcast day with the Dolomites shrouded in mist. Snow was frozen and powdery on the run. And that said, it was kind of warm. The finish line temperature at the 9 a.m. start time was -4 degrees Celsius, but it was warmer than the cross country races that they had earlier in the games. And so people were a lot slower here. So if you're looking for comparisons, we're slower than cross country. 5 kilometers into the race, 8 skiers were within a minute of each other. And that includes bib number 33 and 34, Norway's Sven Stenersen and Finland's Paavo Korhonen. They were tied at 15 minutes 20 seconds. Korhonen took a surge and got a 17-second lead at the 10K mark. And that seems to be too much too soon, because then Stenersen came back and won in a time of 56:18, 14 seconds ahead of Korhonen.
Oh,
And
he
these
faded.
Yeah, he did fade. And these two were the only ones to finish in less than 57 minutes. If you had put him in the cross country ski competition, which, like you noted, they used to be, he would have been 43rd.
Oh, wow, they were a lot slower, weren't
They
they?
were slower. So we're still dealing with the point system for the cross country portion, which I could not figure out. Stenerson's win, combined with his second place in the jumping, gave him the overall gold.
Okay, yay for Sven.
Yuri Moshkin, who started last because he had won the ski jump portion, he completely bonked during the cross country, took him out of podium contention. He finished 13th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he went way down. I couldn't figure out, like, how did you get so few points? Bengt Eriksson, who was third in jumping, tied for 15th in the cross country portion, but he held on for silver overall.
Oh, this
You had
point
this
system is very
weird
confusing, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah, so you had this weird, like, people at the top didn't do well at all in the cross country portion. So a lot of people rose in the levels just because other people messed up. Out of nowhere comes Poland's Franciszek Gaszynia Gron, who was 10th after the ski jump. He finished 7th in the ski portion and got the bronze. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the system the way they have it now. It's so much clearer.
Yes. So Gron was originally not even slated to be on Poland's team, and their coach threatened to resign if Gron wasn't put on the roster. So Poland acquiesced. Gron was on the team. Gron got the bronze, Poland's first Winter Olympics medal and only medal that they earned during these games.
The coach knew something that the rest of them didn't, that's for sure.
Yes. Kowalski, the other Pole who had these massive jumps, he finished 15th. Paavo Korhonen, who'd done so well in the cross country, only got 4th. And the other big jumper, Hiroshi Yoshizawa, did not finish in the cross country. He would compete in the ski jump, and I believe he's a non-factor there. So, yeah, you're confused. I'm confused. I apologize for that. It's a confusing sport at this point in history.
I mean, it's a confusing sport now because of just the way the point system for the jumps works and how they stage it with the Gunderson method. But at least it makes sense where you could say, okay, you had a further jump, you get to start first. And we've converted those jumps into times, and everybody gets a staggered start based on how well they jump.
Yes.
That makes sense. This is very confusing that you can get 7th and 10th and yet still end up with the bronze medal. But I guess in comparison to the 6 people who were ahead of him and the 9 people who were ahead of him, he still had the better combination of finishes.
Yeah, that's just the wild thing. So, final podium, Gold goes to Norway's Sverre Stenersen, asserting Norway's dominance in the sport. Silver to Sweden's Silver Bengt Eriksson, who still has Sweden's best finish in this event. That's why they called them Silver Banked. And bronze goes to Poland's Franciszek Ksenia Gron, who's still the only Polish medalist in Nordic combined. Stenerson tried to repeat in 1960. He finished 7th. Eriksson was also at that games. He finished 10th in Nordic combined. He also competed in ski jump but finished 19th. Gron was not there. He had a big crash while jumping in 1957. He was in a coma for a few days, returned to competition but could never get back to that level. His grandson, Tomasz Pochwala, competed in ski jump at Salt Lake City 2002.
Hmm.
Moving over to ski jumping, that was the final event of Cortina 1956, held on Sunday morning at 11 a.m., the last day of the games. At this time, the event was called special jumping, and I don't understand why. And that also confused me when I was reading the official reports, because they'd be like, special jumping. And like, well, what's special about it? You have one hill. And why don't you call it ski jumping at this point? But that's the way it was. We just have the large hill individual event. The normal hill that we have today it comes in 1964. So we're still a little bit of ways from expanding this sport. Norway's had a stranglehold on the medal count ever since the Winter Olympics began in 1924. We're on Winter Olympics number 7. Norway has 6 golds, 5 silvers, 3 bronzes.
Nice collection.
Beautiful day for this event. Clear skies, compact snow. It's minus 15.8 Celsius at the start of competition, which is about 4 degrees Fahrenheit or so. And it gets up to minus 4 degrees Celsius. So we're getting close to like 40 degrees at this point. It's a huge shift in temperatures. There's some fabulous footage of this event that I'm going to try to put on our website, which is flamealivepod.com. You know how this year in 2026, there was that potential controversy over the ski jumping suits?
Yes.
So we are nowhere near ski suits when it comes to this sport. Competitors are wearing sweaters. Some of them look like they're wearing collared shirts underneath the sweaters.
They're not doing the aerodynamics that we have today.
No. Pants tucked into footwear. They're billowing around everywhere. Many wore winter hats with pom-poms on them. It's
as
fantastic.
You should. Yeah, we don't need no helmets. We don't need helmets. We're fine.
So the starting point of the hill was an issue. There just wasn't a great place to prepare for your jump. So the solution was that at the start, jumpers had to hang on to a chain with their skis perpendicular to the downward slope of the hill. And then when it was time for them to jump, they would like hop, turn their skis around so they're pointing down the hill and go.
Let go of the chain.
Right? Like today there are built-in tracks and we've understood that there's ice in those tracks. And today then it looked like this was just all snow on the surface of the hill. Technique is also all over the place, and you can see that in the same footage. And you can tell we're at a period of transition in the sport. And some technique is Norwegian, which you would see from Chamonix 1924. You kind of bend at the waist and you lean forward. So it's not very aerodynamic at all. You have to keep your skis parallel. But other people are following the technique of a Swiss jumper, Andreas Däscher, which was keeping your body more straight as you lean and your arms back. This made you more aerodynamic. You could fly further. And Däscher had developed this technique by working with an aircraft engineer and testing it in a wind tunnel. And
that's very modern.
It is very modern, and there is a whole rabbit hole to go down if you would like to, because this innovation was not looked on kindly by judges at the time. And Däscher even got into hot water with the Swiss Ski Association because of it. They did not like this change at all. This was Swiss, so not the tried and true Norwegian technique, and we all know the Norwegians are dominant in the sport. They were the ones who were slow to evolve. The Finns and the Germans were not. They were like, oh, this technique looks pretty good. We will try it. Also excited about the new technique was Soviet jumper Koba Tsakadze, who got so flat when he jumped that his body almost touched his skis.
That's very modern.
So, in the first of two jumps in the competition, those using the new style of jumping excelled. First place, we have Harry Glass from Germany, who jumped 83.5 meters. Excellent landing. A half a point behind him was Aulis Kalakorpi from Finland, and tied for third were Antti Hivarinen from Finland and Max Bolkart from Germany. Pioneer Andreas Däscher is in sixth place, and Sakadze from Soviet Union is in eighth. I want to take a minute and talk about Germany in these games. In 1956, Germany was split into two countries, East and West. And this is a headache for the IOC, which did not like the political aspect of the situation. They wanted one Germany, and they got it in 1952. But those unified teams in 1952 only had West German athletes on them. So in 1956, we had another unified team. So we still have one Germany. This time, it's got athletes from both countries, and they compete as one Germany through the 1968 games. And at the IOC session ahead of Mexico City 1968, the IOC voted to allow East Germany and West Germany to compete as their own nations starting in 1972. So it's kind of weird. Max Bolkart, who is tied for third after round one, he's from West Germany. Harry Glass, who is our leader, is from East Germany.
I'm surprised Germany put up with it for that long. The two Germanys
Right.
put up with being forced to compete together until 1968.
Yeah, it's a good question why that happened or, what was going on behind closed doors
Right.
of this situation. In the second round of jumps, Hivarinen, who had been tied for third, got the longest jump of the day at 84 meters, also got the highest style points of the day. The Soviet fell, he's out of contention at this point. Even though he has amazing technique, bad day at the jumping hill for him. Glass and Kalakorpi, who had been 1 and 2, they both jumped 80.5 meters, over 3 meters behind. Kalakorpi got better style points, but those jumps were both short enough and put them into jeopardy in terms of staying on the podium. Däscher equaled the distance of his first jump, but he had a better landing. He got high style points for that. He tied for second best jump of the round, but the way the points fell, he was in sixth place. Wasn't enough. Kalakorpi and Glass stayed on the podium. So final results are gold goes to Finland's Antti Hivarinen in his second and final Olympics. Silver goes to Finland's Aulis Kalakorpi in his only Olympic appearance. Bronze goes to Germany's Harry Glass, also his only games, and he is the first East German to win an Olympic medal. Norwegian would not crack the top 10.
Wow.
And this Olympics was a definite changing of the guard. In ski jumping since 1956, Norway has won just 8 medals in this individual event, and just 2 of those have been gold.
So they went from dominating to just being an also ran.
Yes. And that's because they didn't want to innovate.
Norway, you got to get in on the new game.
So, sources we have Philip Barker from the Inside the Games, The Guardian, Olympedia, the Olympic Studies Center, some film clips from YouTube of the ski jumping at 1956, Cortina, the Ski Jumping Hill Archive, and Henry T's writing for redbull.com. So, yeah.
And
Two
your
tiny
favorite.
sports. Oh yes, my favorite, the official report of the Cortina 1956 Olympics. So yeah, two tiny sports
that taste great together.
Yeah, they do. They do. Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
I know. No more Nordic combined. So all those kids are going to have to make a choice.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, I mean, people that I've seen online go, but it's one of the original sports. It's one of the original sports. But it always seems to have had a problem with having very little regional representation. Japan slides in there, but the dominance by Scandinavia is just kind of, it wasn't bad to begin with, because the games were so small, but as the games have been tried to be more global in nature, I think that's just hurt it as a sport.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I'm sad to see it go. I hope they're able to bring it back with more representation to get more expansion. Though once it's out of the games, I think getting back in is going to be extremely difficult.
Right. And when will they I mean, how many years do they have to prove themselves? And how much proving do they have to do? And do they have the resources to prove to get back? We'll see. Maybe this will be one of those, oh, remember when Nordic combined was part of the games. All right. And on that note, we will call it a show. Thank you so much for listening.
And until next time, keep the flame alive.